Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, joined by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett.
Hello.
Hey, Maddie, how was your week?
Pretty good. I'd say nothing much to complain about. It's not too hot here. Weather's not too crazy. Work's not too crazy. My kids aren't too crazy. Things are good, Plus, I would say the crazy thing is just all the notifications I'm getting from the beat reporters, at training camp, and that's a good crazy. It's got me really just totally amped about football and about what's happening, especially with all the good news coming about Romeo Dobbs. Especially, it got me like ready to run through a wall. So craziness where I want it, no craziness where I don't want it. It's good stuff. How about you, Don?
That sounds perfect. And Jay Love having a good game, our good practice game a couple of days ago. That was really good to hear. All of it. I've been catching up on all the press conferences, like binging them because I didn't last week. I sort of would hear a clip or a little bit here and there. And then also all of Andy Herman's daily YouTube videos, which is just so
They've
good.
been exceptional.
Oh,
exceptional
so good.
Work.
I love it. So yeah, Tasha's she's getting to be a little bit more like herself. She's still symptomatic, but improving, which is amazing after 9 weeks of worrying me. So I'm not bringing her to the vet until I'm going to give it a good month or two. And maybe it'll just, she's recovering from whatever the mystery issue, but she's doing, I don't know if you've ever seen that hanging cat house that I have. It hangs.
Yeah. You showed me a picture of them, I think. 2
stories.
Yeah.
And it used to be her, when she'd get her zoomies, once or twice a day, she runs around and then she flies up onto the second floor of the house and makes it swing back and forth and go crazy. She's done it the last 2 nights, not yet tonight, but last night and the night before. She hasn't done that in over 8 weeks. And that was her favorite thing to do. So I was like, what? That's amazing, Tosh.
That's awesome.
Funny thing is, when I had Pepe, and I'm a little sad about Pepe because he's not doing that well now. I mean, at first he was like, we probably thought it was temporary that he was going back to his foster. Well, I did too. But she said he's kind of depressed, Pepe. So that was kind of bummer. He's okay. He's in good hands and everything, but he loved it here. We loved having him. And yeah, but Pepe, as wild as he was, and he never did that. He never went into that house. He'd go up to jump up on the bed and look at the house when she was sleeping and stuff and be like, and he'd just walk away. That seems a little crazy. I'm not doing that. So it's pretty fun. And 1 week until the first preseason game, Thursday night football.
Yes.
Thursday night. Hey, and the Hall of Fame game is on tonight, right? What
that's happening now on Thursday night. That's right. I have little interest in it, if I'm being honest, which is why I even bring it up earlier. It's like, okay, whatever. It's a preseason game with 2 teams that I don't feel an attachment to. Sure, Devontae Adams, blah blah blah, but yeah, whatever.
That's right. Okay, so I didn't even know who it was. It was the Raiders and
someone else.
Someone else playing.
The Dolphins? Is it the Jaguars? I think it's Jaguars. I think.
Okay, Jaguars. All
Maybe.
Right.
I don't even know.
Again, don't come here for your football news because we just don't know anything. No, I should speak only for myself. But
I only know.
I forgot all about the Hall of Fame game, but I was kind of looking because of our Leroy Butler getting indicted.
Yes, not indicted.
Not indicted. I almost inducted.
You've been listening to too many legal podcasts.
You know what I have. I heard myself and I'm like, no, he's not being indicted. Sorry, Leroy. inducted. Okay, so yeah, he's such a doll. He's
Oh,
so
he's the
great.
best. Such a good dude.
Ah. So Maddie,
Mhm.
I heard you have another theme tonight
I
with your
do.
superlatives. I can't wait to
Yeah.
hear another surprise for me. So let's get started. What did you bring?
Yeah. So, second week in a row with a theme. It wasn't necessarily intentional. It's just when I was kind of pulling my thoughts together, I was like, hey, this kind of, there's a connecting thread here. And
Hmm.
so the connecting thread is guests. And so first one I have here is best. Let me see how I put it here. Best amateur guest. And this was Nick Gregory, who was the guest on the Wednesday Pack-A-Day podcast. They did their, hey, let's have a listener on to talk to them about their Packers fandom and just kind of get to know them better, which, as some folks may recall, I was the person who got to do that last year, which was a whole lot of fun, of course, getting to actually talk to those guys. We've had them all on this show as guests since then, although I wasn't here for the Steve one, of course. But suffice to say, to get back to Nick, because that's what we're talking about, Nick is a guy from Australia. He's a fan of the Packers. He doesn't have a lot of people around to like talk football with, so he was especially excited to talk to Dusty, Steve, and Sarah. Is really excited about like, and he likes to hang out on Packers Twitter, watch like highlight clips, stuff like that. He'll watch the games. You talk about actually watching one of the games like in school because like it was broadcast like Monday morning where he's at in Australia, you know.
Right.
So like watching, I think during English class or something like that. And he was getting really excited and like banging the table because he's so excited. I forget what game he was talking about, but it was a really cute story. It was a few years back when he was still like in school, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it seems like a really good guy. It was really fun getting to hear his perspective, especially as an Australian football fan. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was really fun. It was a fun episode. Fun to get to know this guy a little bit better. I went and like followed him right away afterwards on Twitter. You know,
Yeah.
good person to add to your follows list. And I'll just throw this out here too. This guy Nick, he is. Oh, I thought I had it handy. Shoot, I say his Twitter handle is, and I just don't have that right here. But suffice to say, you can find that pretty easily in our show notes.
Yes,
So
we'll put it in the show notes. And I briefly saw that posted. I haven't listened to Wednesday yet.
ooh, it's a good one.
I know I'm a little behind. I'm catching up. I'm binging. I'm binging Packers content right now, which is fun to get my mind out of some other stuff I was occupied with last week. So in the last couple of weeks, but I just was on his page and followed him and liked some of his content, and I can't wait to hear the episode. That's so cool. And I love that he's from Australia. I can't wait to hear what he says about that. When I was out walking earlier today, as some of you who are listeners might or might not know, I don't live in Wisconsin, although I probably sound like I do. Haven't lived in Wisconsin for a very long time. But I was out walking on the beach and I looked down. First thing I saw was a big Green Bay Packer beach towel and all these Green Bay Packers cozies and stuff. So I went down and it was high tide, so there was no beach time, but I was just trying to get some air and exercise. And I said, "Hey, are you Packer fans?" I had to kind of stand on this landing of these stairs. I mean, they're about to ready to get swept into the ocean because it was high tide, but I wasn't there for that. In any case, they're like, "Yes." And I said, "Are you from Wisconsin?" They said, "No." I mean, it's just crazy how many I mean, I can't go out without seeing Packers, license plate border thingy, stickers, people wearing the shirts. It's just crazy to me that
Every place I've ever gone and been for more than a day, I've always seen some kind of Packers fandom evidence in some form or another every single time. So yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Well, what a wonderful choice of a guest to have somebody from another country, no less. Yeah. That's really
way more interesting guest than I was last year. So
oh, stop it. When they had that, I filled out the form and I didn't think they would pick me, but I said, and they asked, "Why do you want to be on the show?" I think, or something along those lines. And I said, "Because I'm jealous of Maddie." Just for the heck of it. I was just trying to make them laugh with my form. So my first superlative today is on continuing with the fraternizing with the enemy theme that I have been going. I don't know if I'll do that during the season, so this might be the last one. I don't know. But there's a lot of information on this one. And so this week, I kind of put on the hat, so to speak, of what it must have felt like for the last week of being of for I can't think of the word, the preposition I'm looking for, to be a Saints fan.
Mm.
And so I'm calling this the most worrying and the most fanfare, especially for a Saints fan. And this is about Tyrann Mathieu.
Mm-hmm.
He's a safety now for the New Orleans Saints. And I'm going to go into more about what he's doing now. But let me just tell you why I came up with this for the Fraternizing with the Enemy this week. So on July 30th, which wasn't that long ago, even though it seems like a year, 5 days ago, 6 days ago, headline read, Saints have no timeline for Tyrann Mathieu's return. And this is from the Saints Wire, John Sigler. And again, that was on the 30th. So that would have been Saturday. And also Ross Jackson from Locked On Saints, which is like the sister show to our Peter Bukowski's Locked On Packers show. They do all the teams. He said that the Saints head coach, Dennis Allen, said he does not have a timeline for the return of safety Tyrann Mathieu. And I was like, why? What's going on? So then the next day, the Saints came out and the headline was, and made a statement. The headline was, Saints are respectful of Tyrann Mathieu's personal matters. Fan overreact on social media. And I was like, okay, this is why I'm seeing the timeline, but what's going on here? Because I don't know him that well. And so there was an op-ed and that kind of thing. And one of the cool things that I read on that day, so this would have been Sunday, Saints News Network on Fan Nation, and this was an opinion piece by Kyle Mosley. He said, and I'm quoting, "We often forget that football players have personal matters outside the gridiron and locker rooms." And I just thought that was a good thing to quote. So in this context and in general. So then today, the headline was, Tyrann Mathieu reports to the New Orleans Saints after missing the start of training camp. Yay! So I kind of went through the ups and downs as a Saints fan about this. He's not just another Saints player. So this is why. So from an article that I came upon called NFL Players Who Triumphed Over Their Rough Upbringings from Elite Daily. I'm not going to go into too much of that, but from that article, his name popped up. He was one that was mentioned. And so basically it's a list of guys who have overcome adversity, and there are many on this list. And I mean, and what they're referring to is real adversity, mostly in the home life and in their upbringing. To make a name for themselves in the league. And again, the list goes on for days. So Tyrann Mathieu is known for his troubled childhood and heavy weed usage back in college, which got him into all sorts of trouble at LSU. And eventually he was dismissed from the team, which put his draft position, even being eligible for the draft, at risk. His road to the NFL wasn't an easy one, having to work his way up in the draft after being removed for an entire year, and while he was in rehab. But since then, he has proven he was worth being a top 10 pick, and that was back in 2013. But he wasn't picked by the Saints. So he went to high school in New Orleans at St. Augustine, and he went to LSU. Right. He went to LSU. He was drafted in round 3 in 2013. But I'm not going to list everybody he was with, but he finally came to the Saints. This year was his first year back. But he has a lot of ties in a lot of charitable organizations and community work that he's been doing throughout in New Orleans and Louisiana, which is really cool. So let's just tell you a little bit briefly about what he overcame, and then I'm going to do a quick list of what he's accomplished. So he didn't grow up with either of his biological parents. His father, and he was aware that his father was in jail and that he murdered several people, both inside and outside of prison. His mother abandoned him, and he was adopted by his grandparents. and he managed to harvest his football skill. I'm going to start crying. He managed to harvest his football skills and overcome this tough adversity. And with that background, here's what he's accomplished. Super Bowl champion ring. Yeah, with the Chiefs over the 49ers.
Mhm.
Bling, 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 bling. 3-time first team All-Pro. Second team All-Pro. I'm not going to list all the years. 3 times Pro Bowl. Pro Football PFWA All-Rookie Team. That was back in 2013 when he was drafted. NFL 2010's All-Decade Team.
Yep.
Highest of honor. And then the Chuck Bednarik Award, which is basically College Defensive Player of the Year. Okay. And then the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Both of those were in 2011. And then first team All SEC again in 2011. So it's no surprise that when he returned to New Orleans, he quickly began contributing even more to the community. There's a lot. I'm going to leave some links in our show notes. I'm not going to go on, but he's really given back a lot, but he has a lot to share because of his experiences, especially to children. So he said, and this is in quotes, after he was taken on with the Saints this last year, I should say, and he's taking steps to inspire New Orleans kids as a saint, saying, "It feels like I'm home." I know. So it's not only a story of overcoming adversity, but then this summer was like, what's going on? Why isn't he back? And the people in New Orleans are really into this guy. And he's finally home because he played with, like the Chiefs, obviously got the Super Bowl ring. Yay. And then Cardinals and all kinds of other teams before he got to come home. So I'm going to be definitely watching for him on the field this year when I see any Saint games.
Nice. And, in addition to all that he's overcome and accomplished, he also has what I think is one of the coolest nicknames in football,
yes.
known as the Honey Badger.
That's right.
Which I love. I love that so much because, first of all, just like the reference to, the hilarious video from years back about the Honey Badger. And just I've seen honey badgers too at the I think it was the Naples Zoo in Florida. They are not to be trifled with, just like
ferocious.
Absolutely.
Yes, I was wondering if you knew that. Yes, he is the original honey badger.
That's right. And I'm glad. I love this series, Don, because I know who he is, and I obviously knew his nickname, kind of like the basic stuff. I didn't know that I didn't know his backstory, and that's amazing.
He is amazing. It's so fun researching this. It does take a little bit of digging. And but it's totally worth the time too. So I hope our audience is enjoying this too. But yeah, it's fun to be able to know players as humans and also not just our team, and to develop, empathy for people on most of the other teams. So it's kind of cool. So I'm doing my best to keep up with this series. I'm not sure if it's going to be a off-season thing in the future, but yeah, so that's it. So happy he was back at camp. It was like, oh, I hope he's okay, because I was worried. I was seeing this and I was doing my research and I was like, oh, I hope he's okay. And then boom, he's back, and yay.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So my second superlative then, I remember we had the theme of guests, right?
Yep.
So for me at this time of the year, the most fascinating thing to think about is roster battles. And the question I submitted to the Wednesday Pack a Day was about roster battles. In fact, they took the question. Thanks, guys, as always, for taking my questions. And just think about that very aspect is just really where I'm keyed into right now. And so, reading the stuff that's coming out from Andy and Bill and Matt and everybody else who's putting stuff out from training camp, I'm kind of watching that to see what does this mean for how it's going to affect the roster battles and the what the roster is going to be. So there was a really great co-branded podcast that dropped this week. It was Andy Herman and Justice Mosqueda from the Acme Packing Company joining forces to talk about the Packers roster battles. The actual episode is called Reviewing the Packers Roster Battles. So very straightforward utilitarian title, which is not a problem. It's what it was. It tells you what you're getting into. But it was so cool because these are two for me personally, I think two of the best football minds in the Packers content creator sphere. These are two brilliant guys. I mean, Justice Mosqueda is a guy who people on The Athletic talk about, and they're like saying, and of course, our guy who covers the Packers, Justice Mosqueda, like this kind of like name check him all the time, especially Deontay Lee, which is like, that's cool. You've arrived when people are talking about you on The Athletic Football Podcast. So to hear his extremely good takes and Andy's perspective with his good takes, because they don't agree on everything, and they're kind of talking back and forth about, this player I think might be a lock for this reason, like, well, but this player, so hearing these two very well informed, very thoughtful perspectives talking about the roster battles and talking about some of the like if we take like 5 tight ends, what does that mean in terms of how many running backs and how many receivers we can take? How does that shake out for the O-line as a result? It's like the sort of like big picture stuff as well as the nitty gritty. It was a great listen. It was about an hour long. It's actually listening to it while I was making dinner and washing dishes tonight. Cannot recommend it highly enough. Really good listen. So check that out if you haven't, folks.
That is probably the one I haven't heard yet. I think I was mentioning prior to us going live is Andy Herman's coverage of the practice season. It's just been so great. And so that leads really smoothly right into my next superlative. And that's from Andy Herman. He coined a new verb for us, the best new verb. And I forgot who he was talking about when he said, I thought I wrote it down. I probably did and lost it somewhere. But and Andy said he's just going to Rich Bisaccia himself right onto the team. And I forgot who he was talking about. And I think it was a special teams guy.
Must have been, yeah.
Who may or may not make the final. And that is the most sad time, is the cut downs week. Oh,
yeah, I know.
It hurts.
It's rough.
Yeah, and you can really feel the coach's feelings too when he talks. You can tell how sad he is. I'm not looking forward to that, which is right around the corner. So yeah, so best new verb goes to Andy Herm. And it's Rich. And I'm going to use that. Of course, no one will know what I'm talking about unless they're following this show. But no one ever knows what I'm talking about anyway. So it's okay. I'm used to that.
Oh my God.
I don't care.
So it's probably about like Levitt, or I'm talking about like Keyshawn Nixon or one of those like Bisaccia guys.
Yes.
Like one of those guys. Yeah.
Well, but what he meant by it may or may not been might have been a defensive player in general. But what he meant by that is, so if you know Rich Bisaccia, he's how did he self-described angry Italian old man?
Something like that. Yeah.
Right. So, so you're just going to angrily push yourself. If you want to angrily push yourself into any situation, you are technically Rich Bisaccia-ing yourself to that situation.
I see. Okay. I thought you meant like a guy would get on the roster because of their connections to Rich Bisaccia.
No. It's a verb.
I see. I misunderstood.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I definitely wanted to try, as I might, to use it in a sentence. So yeah, just think of some angry old Italian man like pushing his way through some situation and getting his way, because he's so much like Rich Bisaccia. You gotta love him. He's full of love, that. He's full of love, but he's also like, tough as nails. Yeah. So
like when the reporters were talking to Amari Rogers after Bisaccia had like very, very clearly publicly like yelled and sworn at Amari Rogers for like not returning as like a kick or a punt or whatever. And just like, fair catch, and so just like, reamed him out during the practice and everybody's there hearing it. And the reporter's like, we can't quote stuff here, but he just said some stuff to Amari Rogers. But then like, the reporter's talking to Amari afterwards, and he was like, no, like, I need to hear that stuff. And like, I know that he cares about the team, he cares about me, he cares about like us getting better. So like, no, it's all good. He wasn't like upset about it. So I appreciated that perspective too. But yeah, I love that.
That's cool. That's the impression I got, that he's very well liked, but loved by the players. Yeah. I mean, it's a football coach. Come on. You can't be like coddling people.
Right. Totally. You need to get better. That's the important thing. So
Yeah. Cool. Cool.
All right. So for my third, it occurs to me actually in the second one, just a quick callback on it, is that I didn't explain what the guest thing was, because the thing was it was best professional guest, because it wasn't clear
Oh,
who was the guest, because they're like kind of joining together, Andy and
yeah.
Justice said is going back to that, right? So I don't know who was the guest, kind of another one was, so that's why I was like best
Mm.
professional guest. So that was my second one. My third one is best football, and we have to have quotes here, guest, because here I'm talking about a football player who isn't a guest, but he's kind of guesting in a position. So what I'm talking about here is one of my favorite football players. Maybe you know where I'm going with this, Don. I'm talking about my man, Yash Nyman, who is guesting in the left tackle position for the most of training camp, and might be for part of the season, until Bakhtiari's back. It looks like it's
Yes.
pretty much his position to lose for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
And so just huge shout out to Yash, first of all. But then
Yeah.
Bill Huber wrote a really great article, kind of a profile on Yash today. I think it was today or yesterday it dropped. That I just love it when he gets some attention and people kind of like look to see the amazing work he's been doing, and especially coming from being an undrafted rookie to where he is now, as our most likely de facto week one at least starting left tackle. Like what a hard position that is, because that's where all the best edge rushers are coming.
Yeah.
And Bill's talking about like the great work he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Some quotes from Yash, about how feels like he's coming along, getting more of the muscle memory, feels like he's developing and getting more confidence with it. So did great work last year. I think we'll see even better work this year, and I'm just so over the moon about it. Just so excited to see what he's going to do.
Super excited. I mean, no pressure there, right? just just fill in for
Yeah,
David
right.
Bakhtiari. But no, I have great confidence in him, as evidenced by my answer in last week's survey.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Yash, we believe in you and we're behind you 100%. Do what you
Yep.
can do. And yeah, that's great. And I did not catch Bill's article, so I'm looking forward to grabbing that from the show notes when we're done. Yay. I love it. Well, my final superlative, as you have probably come to expect from me, most most legal eagle.
All right.
Okay.
Is that what eagles sound like? Is that, is
I
that an
don't
eagle
know.
noise?
I don't know anything about birds. Scare the dickens out of me. Gosh, I am afraid of birds.
Really?
I love them when they fly up in the air. It's like, oh, yay, look at the birds in the air. But that's it. That's it. They come near me. Oh. So, Deshaun Watson's 6-game suspension, question mark?
Yeah.
So we knew that wouldn't go over real big. And so did the NFL. And again, so I'm going to just say what I'm going to say, and then I'll give my opinion afterwards. Let's do it that way.
Go for it.
So today, after the judge who was tasked with applying whatever punishment she felt based on everything, and this is not criminal, this is not even a civil lawsuit, this is just his NFL standing, his standing as a player in the NFL. So she came down. Her name is Amy, that judge. I forgot her last name at this point. 6-game suspension. So here's what's happening. So today, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell designated another judge, New Jersey Attorney General Peter Harvey, to hear the league's, okay, so this is coming from the NFL, appeal of Deshaun Watson's 6-game suspension for violating the league's personal conduct policy. So this is really important. So it's the personal conduct clause in his contract that can get him in trouble with the league. Okay, so this doesn't have anything to do, I mean, of course it has to do with the legal stuff, but it's separate and beyond that. So Goodell appointed Amy. Now he's appointing Peter because he wants to save face with the fans across the league who are appalled by this whole thing, and to examine the record and say, well, was 6 games really enough, and to overturn what Judge Amy had to say. And then, of course, Deshaun could appeal that. So it's kind of odd that the NFL is appealing their own judge's findings.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
confusing, right?
And it's meant to be, just like everything that they've been doing. So
Mhm.
you heard that here more than once. So yeah, but but they have gone on record saying that the NFL, Goodell, has gone on record arguing that Watson should be suspended for at least the entire 2022 season.
Yes.
Now, whether they mean that or not, I don't know, but that's what's happening. Pay attention, everyone, because this is just part of many other things that are happening. So that happened today with CPL. Yeah, and so you can probably tell the way I'm covering this how I feel about it. I just
Mhm.
at this point it's beyond the pale.
Yes.
The players union has not stepped in at this point on either side, so they can also appeal. And so they may be waiting. Yeah.
Really?
So it's not over yet.
Oof.
It's far from over. But it's not far from over, but it's not over for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely not over.
Hmm.
Oof.
Yep. Hmm.
Well, it's funny, Don, you say like you can probably guess how I feel about it. I haven't talked to a lot of people who don't feel the same way that most of the people feel about it because
Right.
all the obvious, I don't get into it, all the obvious things. Just Deshaun Watson did
Right.
terrible things and he's basically getting away with it, at this point.
Right. It's
If
it's yeah.
Yeah, if it's 6 games, 24 people accusing, I've heard that people say this a lot. That's a quarter per like woman who he hurt. That's absurd. It needs to be a full
Mhm.
year at least. It needs to be a monetary fine, a substantial one. Like this can't stand. It can't stand. So I think
Right.
most people feel that way.
And the whole idea, where the NFL comes in is it's, the NFL's reputation as a whole, the league as a whole. And
Mhm.
so it is important that they do stand up on the right side of this kind of thing. And I saw a thread that compared like so many other players who've gotten a whole year suspension for
Yeah.
doing things that were not nearly as egregious. I mean, it's hard to say what's more or less. I mean, that's kind of subjective, but from a legal standpoint, it's not. So if you just look at, and then there's the argument that he was never indicted. There wasn't evidence that he did. It wasn't technically assault, so they didn't think they could indict him and get a conviction. Basically, they're not going to indict. A prosecutor's not going to go after somebody if they think they're going to lose the case. So
Yeah.
they may not think he's innocent. They may not think it's right, but they have to look at the system of laws that we have and go, okay, are we going to be able to get anywhere with this? So yeah, it's just the whole thing is just so, but that's where we're at. And so since I do talk about legal stuff fairly often here, I thought I would just I felt I would be remiss in not mentioning that one today.
There you go. Yeah.
It is a little confusing, and I think even if you and I think it's meant to be confusing. And just like the John Gruden thing, how it connects in with all these with Snyder and all this other stuff
Mhm.
is also confusing. And there's a reason for that too. And then there's the Snyder thing. And maybe I'll wait till next week to talk about
That's whole nother
yeah.
kettle of fish,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
can of worms. Oof, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a wild storyline that's continuing to go and continue to develop. And then we also, of course, have the stuff happening with the Dolphins and Brian
Mhm.
Flores. All that hit this week as well with the the penalties against the Dolphins. So it's
Mhm.
been a wild week. Um,
Yeah.
so to move along here, Don, I know that we were thinking about doing a little bit of bingo action this week, right? And
Hello. Yeah.
I'm not super clear on how it works, so I wonder if you can kind of like lay this down for us, and maybe if the people sound like they're interested in what we're doing here, maybe some people might want to come on and join us for a bingo game at some point, and just kind
Oh,
of throwing that
fun.
out there. So tell us about it, Don.
Okay, that sounds fun. So Maddie, if and those listening, if you go to our show notes, and I did realize at some point on YouTube and Facebook, sometimes even on Twitter, the links aren't linking. So if you have ever, if we're ever saying, hey, just click the link in the show notes and it's not linking, just DM and we'll get you the link, the live link for things. But there are 3 links at the very end of all of our show notes. It says download your free Packers bingo game to get to know your team. So there's 4. So the first one is the master game. The second one is the 30 bingo cards. So there's 30 different bingo cards. And Matt, you can click on that and grab your first card.
Right.
And then the third one is call the game. That's the link for the person who's going to actually call the game. And then the fourth one is the caller guide with fun player fun facts. And that is actually going to link you to a spreadsheet. So if you're the caller, while people are saying, looking up the number, you can look up the little extra trivia about the player, about the number. Yeah. So basically bingo is just a card with a bunch of numbers on it. And I took the bingo off the top because there's 90 players and it can get to be a pretty long game. So if you have bingo, it makes it even a longer game. So yeah. So did you click the bingo cards?
Yeah, I have a 5x5 card right on my screen that I'm looking at right now.
Awesome. Okay. So if you're calling the game, you would then click the caller. Oops, I need to. All right. And so we're going to start a game. So the caller's going to call. You're just going to click that link and you're going to click the call sequence that you want to click. So the first one is 34. Maddie, do you have 34 on your card?
I do not.
Okay. So then I'm not going to say anything about 34 then, because the next person who might have it, we'll get to, okay. And the next one is 74. Do you have 74?
I do not have 74, unfortunately.
Wrong with you? No, I'm kidding. Okay, 54. I have these all ending in 4s. Yeah.
54. No, not 54.
So what Matt's looking at here is he clicked the link and he has an electronic bingo card. So you don't have to print it out or anything. You can just, once you have a number, you touch it and it makes an X over it, just like, so you don't have to keep track of anything. 71. Maddie, do you have 71?
You think by the law of averages, by now I would, since I have 25 numbers here and there's, 90 people on the roster currently, but I do not have 71.
That's crazy. Okay. I've never played a game and had somebody not have like the first 5. Okay. 83.
83. No. Next number.
Okay. 79.
79. Let's see. Lucky number 79. Nope. This is crazy. Another number.
2.
It is crazy. And I don't have 2.
Maddie, did I give you the wrong card? Okay. 56.
56. One of my favorite numbers. You know that? 7 times 8.
7 times 8.
I am looking for it hard, and I have 57, but not 56.
This is wild. Okay, 10.
Nope. No.
What the hell do you have on your card? What is your card number? What card number did you pick?
Card number 12.
Okay, I'm going to look at, because I can see your card. Let's just look at your card and make sure something's not wrong. No, it looks normal. Packers roster 2022. Okay.
25 different numbers. So.
Okay, we got to get one so we can show people how this works. That's crazy. 37.
30. Yes, I have 37.
Okay. Okay, 37. So you have 37. Do you know who? Oh, I think this might be. Oh, this is somebody I was very interested in hearing about today. Okay, 37. Do we know who that is?
On my head. Oh no. 37. I'm not sure who.
Do you know who somebody with a 37 might be? Somebody in the 30s? What position they might be playing?
I think that'd be a running back. Is that right?
Could be, or close, or another back.
A cornerback.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so 37 in this case is a cornerback.
All right.
He came from Wyoming. This is his second year, so that means he was drafted 2 years ago by us or someone else, but he's in his second year in the NFL.
Okay.
And you probably don't know his name. His name is Rico Gafford.
Oh, Rico Gafford is 37. Okay, yeah, no idea. All right.
We're going to keep our eye on him now. But bear in mind that because we haven't done cutdowns yet, some of the players' numbers might change, and then the bingo game will change. So if you're using the bingo game and you're using the links, always go to the show notes because I will be updating those.
Nice.
So that's how it works.
So I have 37, but I didn't identify who it is. So do I not get to put the X there? How does that work?
Yeah, click the number 37 on your screen, and there should be an X.
So I do get to check it, even though I didn't
as long as you have the number. So the whole idea is just kind of learning the players' names and numbers and a little bit about them.
Nice.
And then in the case where they have an unusual pronunciation, there'll be a column for that. And again, that's in the caller guide.
Like that. Do one more. Don, do one more. I want to see if I have another one of the numbers.
See how long it takes to get you. Okay, 29.
29. All right. I'm excited about this now. You got me really like jacked for this. I don't have 29.
27.
27. Let's see here. No, I don't have 27.
35. No wonder it took my mom and my sister and I so long to play. It took us like an hour. I was like, why is this?
It's because we have so many players on the roster. I don't have 35. No.
All 90 are on there. So we haven't done cut downs. And of course, that will change. 93.
93. The numbers go that high on the uniforms? No, I do not have a 93. The closest I have is 96. No 93.
Okay, 98. Then you don't have 98.
True.
49. How about 49?
Yes, I have 49.
Woohoo! 49. So Maddie, just for extra points, ha. You don't really get extra points. Just for extra learning, because this is a way to learn our team names and what they're playing. What do you think that might be?
49. I have no idea. Give me a hint. Give me a hint. Okay,
it's also his second year, meaning the first year is year one after being a rookie. So technically it's like the third year. It's kind of
okay. So like they finished 2 years. They have 2 years of experience.
Yeah, they're either a rookie year one, year two, or year 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or if you're Aaron Rodgers, year 653. They're a long time. Okay, this dude has the same initials as I do.
Okay. Donald Driver.
Correct, but not him.
But not him. Let's see. Everyone listening right now is like, Matt, you're an idiot. Why can't you get this? You ding dong. D and okay. Give me another hint.
What position do you think 49 might be?
Some kind of defensive back or something.
He's on the offense.
On the offense. Oh, on the offensive line, is it?
No.
Dominic Daphne.
Yes, sir. Tight end, Dominic Daphne.
Woof.
Yay.
See. Okay, now I wanted this not more right now because our listeners have suffered enough of me fumbling through this. But I'm gonna. Oh, excuse me. I couldn't find the pause button fast enough. No, I want to do more of this just to like learn the numbers better now. Just to, like,
isn't it fun?
Yeah, totally.
I think it's kind of fun. I mean, usually if you have more people playing, more people are going to have the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So we should just have a bingo night like next week or in a couple of weeks or something, and just get a bunch of people on the show and play bingo.
That'd be huge fun.
So yeah, I mean, for me, it's super fun just putting it all together, because just putting it together, it's like, okay, I learned something, and to remind me of what number to look for on the field, like who's doing what. Sometimes just knowing their number. If you forget their name, it's like, what are they doing out there? So yeah, it's helping me learn a little bit more. And bingo's bingo. Bingo's fun. I used to play it with my grandmother, and it's not as much fun without my grandmother because she's kind of nutty about bingo. But I had fond memories growing up playing bingo at my grandmother's house. So yeah, so that's bingo, everyone. Again, those links are in the show notes, and it's kind of self-explanatory once you start playing around.
Let's get going. Yeah, we provided a super clear example. It was clear. No, you were totally clear, Don. It was just me kind of fumbling. I'm really making fun of myself to be clear here. So
you did great. All righty, Maddie. Any other final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, some things that kind of occurred to me as we were talking. One is that I missed an important kind of piece of news from this last week, from like how my week was, which is that yesterday, Wednesday, was my 20-year wedding anniversary with my lovely wife. So that was a big day for us. And
Oh, happy anniversary.
then
Yeah.
also some fun news, kind of less like news, but just kind of fun stuff, was that this week on Reddit, on the University of Cincinnati Reddit, a student said something really nice about me being their advisor, and some other students jumped on, and like all these students said nice things about me, and it just really
Oh
made
my
my day. It was so
gosh.
nice. So,
I
kind
love
of
that.
two fun things this week. And other thing I wanted to mention fast is that there's some cool podcast news from this last week or so. One is that my favorite podcast, On Brand and Off Topic, is back for its second season, so I'm very excited about that. Real quick, the second one is that Aaron Ellis, friend of the show and one of the people on Brand Off Topic, just started a new podcast with Dusty and with Monty Moore, known as Ferd Turgeson,
Yes.
where they're talking about the different Marvel movies, which I'm very excited to start listening to. I haven't had the time to check it out yet, but it is very much on my radar to check out. I've been, like you, Don, mostly focused on like the training camp Packers content,
Yeah.
but Dusty, Aaron, and Monty, I will definitely be checking that at some point. And if you ever need a guest on to give their opinions about Marvel movies, I'm your guy, man. And the other one is that the Green and Gorgeous podcast debuted tonight, actually, on Thursday night. I probably won't be able to catch it live. I'll always definitely make sure to go back and listen to it, though.
Yes.
That, of course, features another friend of the show, Hales. And so I cannot wait to check that out. And people should definitely give that a listen, give them some support, follow their podcast, stuff like that. Yeah, so just some quick notes there. But otherwise, that's what
Yeah,
I
I have Dusty's new one up on a tab here. I don't watch Marvel movies, but I mean, I think it'd be fun to listen anyway. I don't necessarily have to know anything about the movies to enjoy their conversation.
Yeah, I mean, those are three of my favorite people on Twitter.
Exactly. Super fun, loving people, funny people, great, witty. So, and Green and Gold and Gorgeous. Yay, that sounds fun. And maybe I'll make an announcement. There will be a new YouTube channel coming up and a podcast version.
It's all about it.
I know. I just thought about this. We were actually going to have another guest on the show tonight. Last minute, something happened and she couldn't make it. But Jamie Cheesebutt, friend of the show, and myself, we will be premiering a YouTube channel and a podcast, but you really kind of want to watch this one. It's very visual and it's called Beauty Touchdown. And so we're talking skincare, makeup, and football. And we're going to make sure we learn something new every week about football. And I've been studying up and I've been getting some people in the background who are helping me, and they're so kind. They're like, you don't have to give us credit. Like, of course we're going to give you credit. Like, this is just all you. It's like, no, I don't know anything about football. It's all you. But I'm learning. It's kind of like forcing us to take care of our skin, and forcing us to share our beauty tips, our green and gold makeup, as it were, and other colors too. Probably some colors we won't go near. But also, a football term every week, and it could be a lot of different things. It can be a particular play, or like, for example, 2-4-5 came up this week in practice, and you tagged me on that. I'm really glad you did, and I heard Andy speak about it. So yeah, things so that if you're like us and you want to learn more about football, and the more you learn about something, usually the more enjoyable it is. So it's going to be fun. We're going to try and make it just fun and lighthearted. And because that's kind of, for me personally, more makes football and other sports more approachable. So, there's nothing worse than, right, when it doesn't even have to be sports, but when you go to learn something and there's somebody who's just a know-it-all and you're like, they make you feel really dumb. We don't want that. We want you to enjoy yourself. And so, yeah, Beauty Touchdown. So we're on Twitter. We're all over already. So if you want to follow us, but we'll be putting out some more teasers when we're ready to roll.
I'm so excited. This content. So cool. I mean, I feel like the more we can get, I don't honestly like the normalization, but like I'll just go with that. The normalization of like women watching football. and stop making it like the thing that has to be like in the male space. I feel like there are
Right.
so many people who are, good examples of that. Of course, right away you think of like, Megan Perry, you think of Mina Kimes, just to start us off, of Aaron.
Yeah.
It's like all kinds of people who are really smart football people, um,
Right.
just more and more of that I think is a really great thing, for all of us. But no, I love the concept. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to check out. I mean, I'm not gonna learn anything about makeup myself because I'll still watch the show because of course, two people who I really love,
Aw.
two people who
Aw, thank you. Thank you. Well, we hope you enjoy it. Maybe you'll just get a few laughs.
yeah,
Speaking of which, we have a fantastic female is a guest next
yes,
week.
yes, ask me what the
Yes,
show.
yes. We're going to be having MK Burgess on
Shut up.
our next show. Shut up! Yes, we're so excited. And yeah. So and I don't know if anyone who's out there listening noticed this or not, but Maddie and I, when we have guests on, we try to go boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, so that we're getting not just like what you just said, not just all male perspective, but females as well. So whether you're a fan or want to be a fan of any NFL team, a super fan, or a content creator, we don't just have guests on who are creating content. Please, you're welcome to be our guest on our show. Just drop us a line, tag us, whatever you need to do to get our attention. We'd love to have you. We book out a little ways, as some people have found. We didn't, to our surprise. But we're kind of filling our spots and getting ready for the new season. So yeah, if you want to jump on, talk about games, talk about something, talk about what you loved to hear about during the week, or just something else, let us know.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Don, I'm going to bring it to the end here. So, friends, of course, you'll find links in our show description for everyone we mentioned. So please check it out. Also, as you were just saying, we'd love to have the chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, Maddie, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you and to be fans of you, and also to have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.